Hi, folks. Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. A couple of months ago, there was a big news cycle about AI hype and asking if all the investment that has gone into AI is really worth it. By some estimations, we've invested nearly $1 trillion into AI, and this includes all the infrastructure, the data centers, the GPU, the electricity, all that stuff. And when you've put in that much money, it is fair for many people to ask, well, where are the massive returns from this massive investment? This is a kind of investment that should be visible in GDP numbers, and you just couldn't see it, or at least not yet. That was the macro picture. And at the same time, if you look around on Twitter, on the internet, on Hacker News, or just talk to all your techie friends, everyone was getting a productivity boost because of LLMs, especially in programming, in writing as well, but especially in programming. There were all these people that were just paying a few dollars per month for the frontier LLMs like GPT-4o or Gemini or Claude 3.5, and they were getting decent productivity bumps, meaningful productivity bumps. So there was a contradiction here. We weren't seeing the returns in top line numbers, but anecdotally, people were reporting big productivity gains. Well, fortunately for us, a paper was recently published that tries to answer this question, but gets at it through estimating the use and adoption of AI among the general population. And to get right to the results, what they found was that about 40% of United States adults had used AI, about 30% for work and 33% outside of work, but 40% overall. And within that 40%, more than half, so about 20%, said that they had used it more than one day in the last week. And what were the occupations or professions of the people that were using it the most? As you can see, the top few are computer/math, which I'm guessing is programming, tech, research, that kind of stuff, management, business, finance, education. And then if you go down the middle, there are professions like health, sales, even blue-collar workers. And then if you look at the kinds of tasks people are using AI for, again, it's not super surprising. Writing, of course, because LLMs are great at, well, manipulating language. Performing administrative tasks, which I'm guessing is some proxy for writing emails, documents, summarization, interpretation. People are using it for coding software. Of course, programmers, I think, now are using it very widely. Documentation, instructions. So all these kinds of tasks that have to do with writing, both summarizing as well as synthesizing prose. All right, so what does all this mean for productivity and for actually feeling some kind of an impact on GDP? Now, based on these survey results, and here the authors are extrapolating, but they say that upfront, this is modeling and extrapolation. They come up with an estimate of 0.5 to 3.5% of all work hours in the United States being assisted by generative AI. Now, personally, I think given that the first release of ChatGPT was not even 2 years ago, that is a pretty significant number. Now, they make one more extrapolation, and this is based on some existing studies which looked at how much generative AI improves performance on various tasks. Based on those studies, they're assuming that AI improves productivity by about 25%. According to the authors, this is a conservative estimate. And if you multiply those two together, at current levels of usage, you come up with a range between 0.125% and 0.875% in terms of how much using AI is increasing productivity. Now, the authors don't mention this in the paper, but the current US GDP is about $25-26 trillion. And if you take this estimate of productivity improvement, on the low end, that gives you about 30 billion annually. And on the high end, that's 0.875%. It gives you about 220 billion annually. So that's where I think you can start feeling some of these results. Now, the question that's not really answered by this paper is what people are then doing with the time that they've saved by using AI. And that's an entirely different question. I'd really encourage you to read the full paper. They have a lot of interesting detail about how they collected the numbers, how they interpreted it. There's a bunch of interesting demographic information. But very quickly, this whole paper is based on what they call the real-time population survey, which is from the National labor market in the United States, and it includes adults between 18 and 64 years of age. Their entire population size for the survey was about 5,000 respondents. And people were asked basic questions like whether they had used generative AI at work or at home, how frequently they had used it, and how intensely they had used it, how many hours per day, and so on. So that was a quick look at a paper that tries to estimate the adoption of AI among US adults. It finds significant adoption and then also tries to estimate what the impact of that adoption is on actual productivity. I hope you enjoyed that. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing, like the video, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.